On Thursday Night Football, the Cleveland Browns beat the Cincinnati Bengals 35-30. And I've got a number of takeaways for both the Browns and the Bengals, but I want to start by saying that it was just a really fun, competitive, exciting, interesting game last night. I want to start by talking about the Browns quarterback, Baker Mayfield, because he had a really good day. I mean, I was happy with the way that Baker bounced back after a pretty bad week one against the Ravens. He was 16 for 23 passing, had 219 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He moved really well, had some really good throws. I really liked what we saw from Baker in week 2. It's like, okay, good. Baker's okay. We don't need to hit the panic button. Everything's good. Now, Baker did have an interception, an ugly, impatient, bad decision at the end of the game where, oh my gosh, he just got, again, I think the word there is impatient, where he threw the ball across the middle, never saw William Jackson lurking, waiting for the ball. And I just have to wonder, can Baker Mayfield go a game without throwing an interception? Honestly, and it's okay if he can't, but the Bengals rookie quarterback, a rookie, Joe Burrow, threw the ball 61 times last night. No interceptions, really good decision-making the entire game. And it makes me wonder, what would have happened if Baker threw the ball 61 times last night? What would have happened? Do you trust Baker Mayfield to throw the ball that many times in one game? And look, I'm a Baker. I like Baker. A lot of people hate Baker. I'm a guy that I want very much for Baker Mayfield to succeed. And I don't feel comfortable at all with him throwing the ball 61 times in a game. Says a lot. Again, Baker has thrown an interception. Last year, he threw an interception in 13 of their 16 games. And I just go, can Baker really go a game without throwing an interception? I also got to say that, the Browns put up 35 points. Thank goodness. They scored 21 points before halftime. That's exactly what Cleveland needs to do every single week. They have too many star players, too many big names, too much talent, quite frankly, to not do that every week. They should not just put up a lot of points against the Bengals. That needs to be the expectation every single week in Cleveland. They have too much talent to not do that on offense. They had 215 yards rushing. I love that. Nick Chubb ran the ball 22 times for 124 yards. Kareem Hunt had 10 carries for 86 yards. An honest reality here about Baker Mayfield is that he needs to have a good running game. It's just the truth. It's a current reality. If the Browns can't run the ball well, can they win? I'm not sure that the answer to that is yes, and it's going to be yes all year. Baker needs help. He cannot. His decision-making is not consistent enough to not have a good running game and be helped by play action. And that's okay, but that's also just the reality of Baker Mayfield right now. Now, I want to talk about Odell Beckham Jr. OBJ had 4 catches, 74 yards, and a touchdown. And first of all, enjoyed watching him. I'm not an OBJ hater. I don't hate the guy at all. But after that long touchdown that Odell Beckham Jr. had in the first half, it felt like the guy did nothing the rest of the game. And it's kind of weird. I have to wonder, something feels off. It felt like OBJ is saving face or something, where he's so worried about appearances, and maybe his thought process is like, okay, I got my long touchdown today. I've done enough. And that kind of weird, I've done enough. It's almost like, I hate how this sounds. I do wonder, though, does Odell Beckham Jr. just worry about doing enough to stay relevant every single game? Is he just worried about doing enough week to week? Because he seems very caught up with appearances. He wants to appear good enough to have hype around his name, hype around who he is. And I understand. I totally get it. I even feel it with my job. There's a lot of pressure to perform and deliver, and performance can be very difficult, and especially trying to do it consistently is not easy, like at all. I understand the mental and emotional pressure of trying to perform consistently. I don't know how to put this into words yet. I'm still kind of, I'm sharing an unfinished thought here, but I gotta wonder, like, is Odell Beckham Jr. so caught up on appearances that he's only worried about doing enough rather than doing great or be succeeding at a high level? And how much does he care? I don't know. something's off. I can't put it to words yet. I don't know. I'm sharing. Don't judge me for an unfinished thought. I'm sorry, but I want to put this out there because something is weird. Something is off with Odell Beckham Jr. I can't place it. I can't put to words to it. But there's something lacking with OBJ right now. Now, I thought that Bengals' young rookie quarterback, Joe Burrow, oh my gosh, he was outstanding. He's not perfect. Like, don't get me wrong. He had mistakes last night. There are things I'd like to see him do better. He took a sack where it's like, just throw the ball away. There's little moments like that. But wow, number one, Joe Burrow is just perfect for prime time. He is so good in big moments. I love watching Joe. I think a lot of America hadn't really seen Joe Burrow played in the NFL. I'm sure a lot of people did not watch week 1 against the Chargers. I know a lot of people sent me messages saying like, man, I love watching Joe Burrow throw the ball. I love this. I love that. People were like, wow, Joe Burrow is not bad. And we all knew that, but it's fun for a whole nother wave of people to see, oh yeah, Joe Burrow can play football. He was 37 for 61 passing, had 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 316 yards passing. And I've never seen anything like what he did. It's so impressive to me. His second ever NFL game. No preseason, very weird training camp, a weird offseason in general. And in his second ever NFL game, Joe Burrow threw the ball 61 times, and it wasn't a nightmare. It wasn't a train wreck. They lost the game by 5 points. He scored a lot of points. That's so crazy to me that things went down the way they went down. I'd love to see the Bengals really develop a better running game, honestly. But I don't think people understand how difficult what Joe Burrow did last night is. To throw the ball that many times in that situation as a rookie in your second ever game, to have no interceptions, show really good decision-making. Honestly, from a decision-making standpoint, he, I think, outclassed Baker Mayfield last night, which is crazy because Baker had a good game. I just think people don't understand how impressive, and you need context, what Joe Burrow did last night is. I see a very, very bright future for Joe Burrow. It's a lot of fun to watch him play. And the Bengals truly are, Cincinnati is exactly what I thought they would be. They're 0-2 right now. They're a very flawed, imperfect football team, but they're a lot of fun to watch. They're competitive. They're interesting. Like, how good is it? Forget wins and losses. How cool is it to be able to say, the Bengals are fun to watch? When's the last time we were able to say that, really? Bengals fans might have had a good time watching Andy Dalton. I never really was like, yeah, Andy Dalton, what a blast. No, it's so cool to have. I don't know that the Bengals are going to turn it around and win a Super Bowl or do anything like that. And I think part of the problem is that the Bengals ownership is happy doing really, really well, being competitive, selling a lot of tickets and a lot of merchandise and having excitement around them. But wow, did Joe Burrow bring excitement to Cincinnati. It's so cool to see. They're 0-2. They lost both games by 1 score. And the Bengals just got to keep building around Joe Burrow. I'm curious what the ceiling is for this franchise. I don't know. They got to make the offensive line better. They got to improve their ability to stop the run on defense. But there's a good foundation in Cincinnati. I really like Joe Burrow, and I just feel so good about him as a quarterback. I don't know about the organization yet. They got to prove themselves, but Joe Burrow is doing really cool stuff in Cincinnati. I also thought that William Jackson had a good day yesterday for the Bengals defense. He was lucky he had a play down the left sideline where guarding OBJ, very clearly he was holding onto the jersey. I was very surprised they didn't call some kind of penalty on that play. But he also had an interception. He had a really cool touchdown-saving tackle. William Jackson's a guy I didn't really have a lot of awareness of going into the year. I thought he had a great game last night on Thursday Night Football. And I will say, though, to be honest, and I feel I talked about the pressure to perform with Odell Beckham Jr. I understand that here's the thing. When you're a big name, when you are Odell Beckham Jr., Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Saquon Barkley, when you have a superstar name and people view you that way, you have pressure to perform because there's a reason people are excited about you. There's a reason there's hype behind you. And I got to be honest, I'm a little bit disappointed with Bengals receiver AJ Green. I don't know if I'm the only person. People talk so highly about AJ Green. I hear the word even elite thrown around. I go, he's an elite receiver. That's what people say about him. And last night, he had numerous drops in situations where he could have made a tough contested catch, and he didn't, right? And it's not like Joe Burrow was just throwing the ball up in the air. Now, Joe Burrow, there's a throw down the right sideline. That's a high point back shoulder ball, but it was a perfect location from Joe Burrow. And not once, not twice, I counted 3 or 4 times where AJ Green had look, for sure, a tough catch, but a tough catch that an elite receiver would haul in. And so I think Joe Burrow was dropping dimes last night. There were a couple times where people keep hyping up AJ Green, and I go, if AJ Green is really that great of an elite receiver, he's going to have to start hauling in these catches against man coverage, these contested, difficult catches. If you're incredible, you make incredible plays, and I kept waiting and waiting and waiting for AJ Green to do that, and it just never was happening, and it was very... I don't know if this is fair criticism, but I just want to see more from AJ Green as a fan of Joe. I'm a fan of Joe Burrow. I want to see him do well. And when Joe Burrow dials up an incredible, perfect back shoulder fade, even if it's a tough catch, if you're an elite receiver, which I don't know that AJ Green is, but people say he is, he's got to start bringing those catches down. He's got to haul those in. And so I want to see more from AJ Green moving forward. Now, the final thing in this game is that at one point, at halftime, I guess, announcer Joe Buck got a big award. He was told that he's going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton. It's pretty cool because Joe Buck's dad was also an announcer. And I just thought it was a cool moment where I was happy for him. I was happy for Joe Buck. A lot of people hate on the guy. And it seems like Joe Buck never really gets the appreciation he deserves. Nobody really understands how difficult and hard that job is. I know there's irony for me who I talk for a living, right? I talk constantly. And I think like it's not the easiest thing ever to talk. I just, anybody who thinks they can talk for an hour and a half, I do it. Try talking for an hour and a half. It's not as easy as it looks. But I have it easier. Like I had a coughing fit when the show started today. I'll just cut it out. No problem. Joe Buck is live. He can't afford to have that moment. He can't afford to have this or that. And so when Joe Buck has a moment where he says something dumb once a year, I go, can we give the guy a little bit of slack? I mean, nobody, I ask anybody, record yourself talking for an hour and a half. You're telling me you're not going to say one dumb thing in an hour and a half? I do it all the time. Like I am so impressed with Joe Buck. And so, and like, at least I have self-awareness and I admit it. So I just am really happy for Joe Buck. I thought he got some really well-deserved praise. And I do actually, I was going to end, I wasn't going to end there, but I want to add one more thing. There was a cool moment where Cleveland went for it on 4th and goal. And I loved the call, that decision to go for it on 4th and goal from the 1-yard line. It reminded me a lot of the Green Bay Packers actually in week 1, where it's a win. If you go for it on 4th and goal on the 1-yard line, it's a win-win because either you get a touchdown or if you get stopped, what it does is that it puts you in a position to maybe make a big play on defense. The Packers got a safety because the Vikings had the ball on the 1-yard line. The Packers blitzed the corner off the left side. Kirk Cousins went down. 2 points for Green Bay. Like, even though they didn't get a touchdown or 3 points, they still got 2 and the ball back. So, I don't know, man. I thought it was interesting. And, you know, when you take a team like a rookie quarterback with Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals and force them to go 99 yards, that's a hard ask. I mean, more teams, I think, should go for it on 4th and goal from the 1-yard line. The Browns didn't get it, ultimately. They got stopped on 4th and goal. And, well, it was disappointing. What happened was, it gave the Bengals the ball on the 1-yard line, and it eventually led to a Joe Burrow sack fumble where Myles Garrett came off the edge. He knocked the ball out of Joe Burrow's hands. Bam, 1st and goal from the 1-yard line for Cleveland. It gave them another opportunity. So their whole long drive getting down to that field position wasn't wasted. In fact, it gave them a touchdown in the end. I just want to say I really liked the call to go for it on 4th and goal. I want to see more teams do that moving forward. That's all I have. I really enjoyed the Browns-Bengals game. I think and I hope it's going to be a fun rivalry for years to come. And I don't know. I think, man, if Joe Burrow gets the same weapons that Baker Mayfield is working with, I don't know how Joe Burrow's not he's already a star. I'll just be frank. Like, he's got star name recognition, I guess is a better way to put it. He'll become a superstar quarterback if he gets the talent that Baker Mayfield has around him. And Baker, man, I don't see Baker throwing the ball 61 times in a game and it going all that well. I mean, the odds of him throwing multiple interceptions if he's throwing that many times in a game just goes up and up and up. And I don't know that Baker has the discipline or the decision-making ability to get away with that. He needs a good running game. It's a lot of interesting stuff from last night. I'm excited for the Bengals moving forward. I want to stick with my prediction for them. They are a fun team that's not going to win a ton of games. And the Browns, I'm going to stick with that prediction. I think I said 9-7 for the Browns. I'm going to stick with that as well. The Browns are a good football team, but they got to perform every week. I mean, Baker has to play at that level. That is the standard for him, what he did last night against the Bengals. He's got to do that against better football teams as well. And so we'll see if Baker does that moving forward. I hope so. We'll find out as the year moves on.